Mandatory minicamp is underway for the Washington Commanders. It starts Tuesday, and we've got the lowdown for you right here on Rep the District. Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner, and the Washington Commanders start minicamp here on Tuesday. This one's mandatory, and that's big for you, Stoner, because Chase Young is back in the building. He's there for Media Day on Monday.
CY99, man, checking in for Media Day. Yes, sir.
He's going to be there for the mandatory minicamp. And you have been very, very vocal with your disdain over Chase Young not being there up to this point. How big is it for you that he's here now?
Yeah, I'm glad that he's finally made the decision to come back. It is mandatory. Obviously, if he's not there, then you got some real issues. And I tell you, I was more surprised about a lot of fans' reactions or non-reactions to Chase not being at voluntary workouts, more than I was surprised that Chase wasn't actually there, that they were giving him a free pass. And I understand it's voluntary, and I understand by him not being there is not going to change the trajectory of the season for the Commanders. But if everybody had that same attitude, if guys like McLaurin and Allen and Samuel and Gibson and on and on and on, if they had that same attitude, then there'd be no buy-in for this franchise, and you wouldn't have this extra time to practice and to bond and to build chemistry. So I was surprised by that, but that's in the past now, Nathan. All right. So now it's mandatory. He's there, and I'm happy that he's there, and we can pretty much no longer talk about him not being there once practice starts again this week.
Now the big thing for him is just stay healthy and show out. That is going to be the biggest factor for him. And speaking about showing out, Stoner, there was a lot of I feel like the fan base was a little split on Emmanuel Forbes being selected at 16. Apparently we weren't the only ones. The team was dead set on it. If you've seen any of the work that the media team has put together, looks like they were even willing to trade up for Emmanuel Forbes. They stand pat, get their guy. And Jahan Dotson, he was asked about this, and he says, honestly, I watched the tape and was like, I think he's good, but I don't know. But after seeing him on the field, I know how good he is now. I understand why he was drafted in the first round. I understand what all the hype is about. That's pretty big praise coming from your first round wide receiver just last year. What do you make of Jahan Dotson's, message here about Emmanuel Forbes?
I think it's a big deal. I think it's a really big deal because you don't have to go out of your way to praise a guy like that, a first-round draft pick, especially a guy who, as Jahan said himself, you kind of see the tape and you're like, I like what I see, but I'm not so sure he's a first-rounder or somebody who's going to really help us out. Then he gets out on the field. And we all know Jahan Dotson's route running ability. And if he says Emmanuel Forbes is standing out in these OTAs, it's early, totally get it, no pads or anything, that's a big deal. That's what you want to hear. We heard the rumblings in past about some of the first rounders that weren't so great. And now we're hearing the rumblings that he's really standing out in the OTAs. So I think that's a big deal, and it gets you really pumped up. I knew what would I knew this would happen, Nathan. It didn't matter who the first round pick was going to be. They were going to make me fall in love with the guy. And breaking news, I'm falling in love with Emmanuel Forbes. I am falling in love with him.
It's pretty easy. And I, again, I'm going to encourage people to go out and watch the Washington Commanders YouTube channel because they have some content on Emmanuel Forbes, and it's just outstanding. And you will be a big fan of him after watching that. I liked the pick. Thought it was great for Washington. Glad Jahan Dotson's on board here. I did think it was a little surprising that he was coming out and being very honest and saying that he didn't think that he was going to be that good. But I'm glad that he's impressing his teammates, and that's what you want to hear right before the mandatory minicamp starts, right? This is the time for all good things to be happening and none of the bad things. And maybe not such a bad thing here, Stoner, but the 33rd team came out with head coach power rankings via Ross Tucker just before minicamp here is opening up. Ron Rivera coming in at 19. Now he is ahead of McCarthy.
Yep, that's good.
So that's about the only one from the division. A big surprise here, ahead of McDermott.
Yeah, there's a couple on there that I was surprised that he was ahead of. Like you said, McCarthy, who has won a Super Bowl, who won the division. No, he didn't win the division last year, but they win 12 games last year, I think, maybe whatever it was.
Second
Cowboys
division,
were very good
yeah.
last couple of years. I think that was surprising. I thought Robert Saleh for the Jets. I understand they haven't won anything.
25, yeah,
but that's a good coach right there. So that was surprising. I didn't like this, Nathan. How the heck do you slot him behind Arthur Smith from the Falcons? That's a horrible franchise. They have done nothing. The Commanders really haven't done a whole lot either, but they've done more than the Falcons have. That was a little bit of an insult. So I thought he could have been a little bit higher, but 19 based on what he's done the last 3 years here in Washington, I think that's about where he should be.
I think Ron Rivera, the person, Ron Rivera, the mentor, it can easily be a top 10 guy. And we shared 100%. On our Twitter the video of him, and giving the guys their Pro Bowl announcements. And you see stuff like that. You see videos of him back in Carolina where he's pulling some of these young gentlemen off to the side and talking to them about life stuff. And that is great. On the field, though, I feel like, if you haven't had a winning season, how long? It's understandable that you're that low in the rankings. But here at minicamp, we're hearing things. We're hearing some excitement. Some of that comes around from EB. Bieniemy might make a difference here for this team. And if Ron Rivera and the Washington Commanders go out and win double-digit games, he can easily be well above 19 this year. What do you think?
I hope so. That's the goal. You get those double-digit wins and you get into the playoffs and maybe a playoff win, then you could bypass a whole lot of these guys because you'll be the guy who saw Sam Howell and said, okay, that's the guy we gotta get the values there. Let's see if he can be our guy. And a lot of these decisions, bringing Bieniemy over, all that stuff, the draft picks have really been working out lately, last few years. So if it's a big if, Nathan, if they win this year, double digits, then yeah, his stock is going to rise way up that board.
Well, we'll have to see. It all starts right here with the mandatory minicamp. Everybody is on board right now. What do you want to see in minicamp? Let us know in the comment section. We're going to be seeing plenty of content come out this week. And so let us know what you want us to break down because we absolutely will. Of course, you can catch us live every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern in the evening right here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And until next time.
Good to see you, Chase.
Be a fan.